Today, I want to talk about the importance of positioning. There's been two games recently where I've honestly blundered in games where I probably should have won pretty handily. So I'm going to use those as examples, show you what I made mistakes with, and talk about how maybe you want to avoid making the same sort of mistakes in your game. The first game I played was against our own Jack, Team England substitute player. He'll be coming with us in September to Germany, so obviously a solid player there, ready to step in if need arises. But also, Jack has been playing a lot of practice games, so he knows my list well. We've talked it through. He knows his own list well. It was a good game. So coming into that, we've got a High Elves versus Chaos matchup, and we actually have two High Elf versus Chaos games. Interesting that both of these have very similar aspects to them. I think just the raw power that Chaos brings is something that you have to respect a lot more and make sure that you really don't mess up your positioning. Quick look at the lists. My list is the same for both games. I won't go too into depth about it. If you've watched any of the High Elf content recently I've done, you'll have probably seen the sort of list I'm playing. Very similar. It's slightly different here. I'm actually playing an Enchanted Shield, not the Charm Shield that's on the screen. It doesn't make a difference. I do play it correctly. I just don't have it labelled correctly in here. And other than that, it's pretty similar. There are some tweaks I want to make. Actually, I'm not 100% satisfied with the character loadout, but it is what it is. Because this is teams as opposed to singles, I am taking out the Opal Amulet, which I've been putting on the Prince. I think that's only really necessary if you're coming up against Heroic Killing Blow or, 18 cannons, something like that. So I'm just relying on the good old-fashioned 2-up armor save, 5-up ward, 5-up regen as well. All good stuff there. All the characters have Pure of Heart, obviously a great buy. And we've got double silver helms. They've got the Ring of Fury, so they've got the Hammerhand ring. I really like it. I think it's good. I'm still on the fence about whether I want to drop the banner, but honestly, the banner has been actually working out quite nicely for me. Again, shout out to Liam Jordan, who I was talking to about it. Rights for Goonhammer did have access to the rules a little bit early. We did record a full, run through of the High Elves. Unfortunately, that one, the audio did get corrupted. But anyway, by the by, his recommendation was that I take full command on the Silver Helms, 6 models with the Ring of Fury, and it's been working out really well for me. So I'm very pleased to keep running it. 6 Illyrian Reavers with a musician and a champion. The champion's got the Lawmaster's Cloak to give some protection. The Archmage is going to go into there. Triple Lothan Skycutters, and then 7 Sisters of Avalon. We're doing a lot of shout-outs in this episode, I guess. So I do want to also shout out Matt Roberts, who is part of Team England. He's been experimenting with 2 Skycutters and then 2 units of 6 Sisters of Avalon. One with the Ruby Ring, which I've got here, but then the other one with the new 50-point bow. I think I'm going to give that a go, honestly. I think 2 Skycutters is probably enough, so I want to give that a go. Something else I'm considering is just a big unit of Sisters in Rare. Maybe that's something to try. Onto the lists. We're playing with Throne of Skulls restrictions, max 1 level 4, the Chaos Lord as well. All characters capped to 500 points. So we can see here we've got a Chaos Lord and a Dragon. Very budget, very, very budget. Shield, Flail, single Favour of the Gods, Mark and Nurgle. Sorcerer Lord level 4 on a Chariot. Marquezine, on an undivided chariot, Spell Familiar, Infernal Puppet, Ruby Ring, Own Favour of the Gods. Really good loadout, puts out a lot of output. 5 Mark of Khorne Knights. I'm not sold on this, and I think Jack might have changed the way that he's running his core now, because I do abuse them in this game. We've got 3 units of Warhounds, which Jack uses to very good effect. A couple of units of, 3 units of Marauder Horsemen, and then 2 individual Dragon Ogres and a Warpfire Dragon. Good list, I really like it. It's a lot of evasion, plus a dragon to do some heavy lifting, backed up by another dragon. Into the game, we're playing on the WTC maps. In fact, let me just adjust this one here. Perfect. So as you can see, we've got the WTC maps. I'm not a huge fan of them being asymmetrical. Maybe we'll see them change, but we're still early on in the process. Deployment-wise, I have gone pretty far back. I don't want to risk getting ruined by his Sorcerer Lord and the magic missiles there. I've got the Prince at the front, and I've got the Noble stood behind the Prince. Obviously, if you're not able to see over the large target, you're not going to be able to shoot the Noble behind him. Obviously, there's a hill there, so but it's by the by. But this was, I think, I put those 2 down before Jack put down his Sorcerer Lord. I get the roll-off to go first, which is fantastic, and on my turn, I just sort of full send forwards the dragon, and up in the top right here, you can see the Khorne Knights, so I've made it so he has to charge me, but then I'm positioned to overrun in a nice angle because the Court Knights are frenzied. Other than that, I'm pushing forwards. The Griffin is just out of range of the Dragon's charge range. Everyone else is just kind of shuffled up a little bit. I don't want to make sure, I don't want to be at risk of falling over to something, and I killed some Marauders as well. So turn 1, pretty standard, just making sure to get a good turn 1 kill on some Chaos Knights. Here, it works really well. So on Jack's turn, I kill only one of the knights because there's a unit champion. I get challenged out, all that good stuff, so they're running away. But what it does is it puts my dragon in a really strong position, and this is what I want to talk about. This is the good positioning. Jack does some good positioning as well. He moves the Warhounds up. He sort of takes space in the middle of the board because we're playing on the Mountain Pass. It's a much narrower board. It's harder for me to do my skirt around the edges and not interact with you as much as you want to be interacted with, so I've got to kind of force the issue a little bit. He does an absolute pounding to my Lawmaster's Cloak unit as well. Kills, I think it was 4 of the 6 with magic missiles, which is impressive. Also gets a Skyweaver, and then there's a long bomb charge with some Marauders into, I think it was actually, into the Skyweaver there. I rolled poorly. They overrun into the Silverhounds, but I'm pretty okay with that. So turn 1, I'm feeling pretty okay. Coming into my turn 2, this is the thing that I wanted to talk about. So previously, you can see that in the center here, if I just, there we go, you see where it is. That's the Sorcerer Lord on Chariot. If I kill this model, I think the game is over, basically. I have shut down the entire magic defense and magic phase that Jack has, and I can just pick off everything else. So you see my positioning. Basically, I'm set up to just absolutely ruin him. The Chaos Knights are, I believe, actually fleeing, and that means that when I declare a charge with the Dragon, I charge them with the Griffin and then reroute the Griffin into the Dragon Ogre. Basically, I use that to make the Chaos Knights flee, and then I declare into the Sorcerer Lord. Now, the Sorcerer Lord has a little bit of a way out here, so what should I have done? Well, you see these 2 chariots, what I probably should have done is filled gaps with them. If I'd filled the gaps, I could have made it so if the Sorcerer Lord ran away from combat, he fully just disappears. And I didn't do that, which was a real blunder, and it ended up making it go from a very strong victory for me to actually a 10-10 draw. So you can see I did some double charging here with the chariots, which is fine, but it wasn't particularly useful. It didn't get me all that much. What happened was the enemy chariot ran through here, and also the ordering. I messed up the ordering because I went with the dragon first. It meant that these 2 chariots here were stood in the way of my dragon catching up, and where the sorcerer ended up in the middle here, there was no room for my dragon to fit. So I basically gave Jack a get out of jail free card, despite only having, I think, 2 wounds remaining. Not good at all. So coming back into it, this is my turn still. As you can see, lots of models die to Pillar of Fire, which is just a little rough for me to deal with. But I'm in a position where I had the game in my hands and I've thrown it away because I've not thought through the positioning. If instead what I do is I go, here's one chariot just sort of here, and then the other one's down here, given the angle that I get the charge in, and I get the charge first, so especially on Warhol, it's super easy to line up. We could have made it so that either the chariot stops in front of me here, at which point the dragon is really comfortably going to catch him, or it flees, properly flees, gets through my models all the way through, bounces off the board. But that was something I absolutely could have set up and cost me. If we walk through the rest of the game just quickly, you can see here, basically what happens is the chariot on 1 wound moves up to here, blasts off all of the silver helms, also my wizard as well. So this model that should have been dead or tied up is now getting 400 points here, taking away my magic defense, taking away my ability to deal with things at range. It goes on, and I do manage to mop up some points. You can see the dragon here going for the sisters. And it's just a case of, at the end, me trying to preserve as many points as possible in a game that's kind of gone disastrously compared to how it should have gone. So that's not great, but it really does just come down to this pivotal moment here. And like I said, all I had to do, fill the space here. Fill the space down here with chariots, so I could put 1 here and then 1 here at an angle so there wasn't room for him to fit, and then it was a guarantee that I stay in combat with him or he flees off the board. There was no sort of in between. The second game I want to talk about was my recent scrim into the Team USA Chaos player Adam Schmuck. You may know him. He's been on the channel a couple of times. Really lovely guy. Really good player. He's won in person. He's won online. He's a really solid player. I think in terms of how we match up, I'd feel confident playing against him at a tournament. I'd feel more confident at a tournament because I think he's really solid at individual games. If he's got time to plan out each individual game, I think he's a very good analytical player. But I think I have the edge just in terms of I think very well on my feet. So in a tournament experience, I feel more comfortable playing against him. Anyway, by the by, this is not to make excuses. This is just to set up the stage. And Adam definitely outthinks me in this game. I think he probably sets it up a little bit in terms of a way that I wasn't expecting. And this is definitely a weakness of me as a player, where if I'm in a situation that I don't like, I don't have to have seen it before, but if I don't see what my opponent's doing, that's where things can go wrong for me. And that sounds really obvious, but normally because of the volume of games I've played, my general experience, my understanding of how armies interact, I'm usually pretty good at understanding how my opponent's going to play, what their game plan is, which means that if I do miss something, it is really, really problematic for me. So I did double check with Adam to make sure that he was okay with me talking about the lists and anything like that. If you're playing a scrim with someone and they're trying to keep lists private, obviously you can't share them, but we're super early in the process. I think it's more about getting practice for the US team at the moment. So Adam was playing a variation on the list that you might have seen him talk about. He's still got the 6 Chosen Knights. He's now got a Warpfire Dragon in there. He's got 2 units of Forsaken, a unit of Marauder Horseman, which is a bunker for the caster. Speaking of, he's got a level 4 with Battle Magic, Marcus Inch, Infernal Puppet, Ruby Ring Rune on a horse. That's going to join into the Marauder Horseman and just sort of blast things off the table. And then there's a Demon Prince as well. Demon Prince, Armor of Meteoric Iron, Ogre Blade, Double Favor of the Gods, Extra Arm, Mark and Urgle. This thing slaps. Now, I think I'm pretty comfortable having that in combat with my dragon, but it's not necessarily a fight that I want to take. I think it's more 50-50 than I'd feel comfortable with, especially because he's Nurgle, so I'm re-rolling some of those hits, and he's got the Favour of the Gates of the Gods, so he can stack up his stats. At one point he did end up at Toughness 7 between the Nurgle spell and everything else, so something that I've got to be careful about. Coming into this, I thought I was at an advantage, and I thought we had won this pairing, and I still maybe feel that way, and perhaps that I've played it badly, but I expected Adam to be a lot more cagey, and that affected my deployment. So the first mistake I made was not understanding what my opponent's game plan was going to be. So as you can see here, Adam's deployed fairly spread out and a Demon Prince right on the line. Now, I don't have a list that can super take advantage of that, but I do have triple Skycutters and the Sisters of Avalon. So if I go first, I can probably ping off 2 or 3 wounds into that Demon Prince pretty comfortably. So I'm feeling okay about that. However, I do lose the roll-off. I have less drops, Adam goes first, and there's not really much that can screen him. I guess the Forsaken can screen him in this list. But from the way dropped, I expected him to go so aggressively. I guess there wasn't much I could have done. I only had 2 drops by the time he put his Demon Prince down, which was the Illyrian Reavers over here and the rest of the characters. So Adam's quite spread out. He's got the Forsaken in the top left corner here. Mostly his points now, I think. They're not matching up super well into this list. It's hard for them to get in, even though they are Slaanesh. So I think they're mostly here to make it difficult for me to get as many points out of him as possible, which is a really good play. Chosen Knights in the center. A little trick here that people should use if they're playing drilled on their cavalry. One model is just behind the terrain, which means that no matter where he's shot from, he's always going to be getting, -1 on the cover save, light cover. For me, it doesn't matter too much. The Sisters of Avalon, if they were to shoot at him, not that they're in position to do so, they ignore cover. But it's just a good tip to pick up if you're playing heavy cavalry with Gerald. Really good little bit of tech. Then what else have we got? We had the big unit of caster in the middle with the Demon Prince. I knew where these were. I think I should maybe have been a little bit further over to the right with the Reavers, but that's a micro adjustment. I'm not super bothered about that. So let's go into what happened. Turn 1, Adam gets really aggressive, way more aggressive than I thought. So I'm deployed in a way that I thought I had to aggress on Adam. So this is not what I was expecting to have to deal with, but it's okay. It's not really a problem. The Demon Prince's Arcane Urgency right in front of my Wizard and the unit of Lyrian Reavers. They are in skirmish. They just, I've got them bunched up for ease of movement, and, Adam and I are both aware of that. I've made that clear. In retrospect, where the dragon is maybe a mistake, because if I had it pointed more forwards, it would have made Adam have to be more defensive. I'm not really sure why I had it there. I wanted to keep it near the Arcane Urgency over here, but putting it here would have been fine, because I could always just wheel over to the right if needs be. So perhaps a little bit of a blunder on my behalf there in deployment that led Adam to be more aggressive. So Adam's deployment, not too noteworthy here other than he's full sent. Into my turn, and I feel really good about this. We're streaming it to the Discord where we were playing our games, and there are multiple people on my team who are watching. The WhatsApp group is popping off. They're taking screenshots and being like, "Oh, this is in the bag," which is a false sense of security that you shouldn't go for. So what I've done here is I start off by Vols unmaking the Ogre Blade on the Demon Prince, which is really solid, puts me in a good spot, and then I basically box in the drilled Chosen Knights. There's maybe a world where he'd be able to get out, but I think it would have been very difficult for him to do, because the front of his base here would have clipped through the Griffin. So I don't know that he would have been able to wheel out, even if he uses his drilled or just like reforms this way and then Arcane Urgency's out. I'm not sure I left him a comfortable angle to do so, because it would have to be 2 movements. So I think that I've fully trapped him in, and Adam does agree he does end up charging my Griffin. So let's talk about what I've set up here with my movement. I've used the fact that I've got very fast moving units here to pin in a unit that's hard for me to deal with. Adam has Arcane Urgency, and Adam has drilled on the Chosen Knights, which means it's very difficult for me to get out, for me to pin him in. Basically, I have to pin him in on all 4 sides if I want a unit to be guaranteed dead to my dragon, which is important, because the dragon is the thing that's going to kill the most, basically. That's my big point scorer. This bit's good. So far, I think I've played really well. I'm happy with this, and I've, took a bit of pre-measuring out, work it out, cast my Arcane Urgency, good stuff, sequence everything correctly, so I march the unit over here, away from the Demon Prince, out of vision, just play everything correctly. This is all looking good. Coming into Adam's turn, Adam charges the Griffin, which is, as I expect, is going to happen. I'm just going to go hand, weapon, and shield and try and tank it as best I can. And then comes up, and Adam does some shooting over here. The Demon Prince, just runs into the wood. It has 360 line of sight, so obviously it can see things. It has fly, so it's not going to take penalties for charging inwards. It's only if you end in terrain that you take the penalty, and the Warpfire Dragon covers as well. So this means that this unit of Sisters of Avalon at the bottom are pretty dead, but that's fine. I'll take that trade if you're getting 150 points and I'm getting, the better part of 300 points for the Chosen Knights. That feels like a good trade for me. As mentioned, Adam does manage to take this chariot down, the Lothan Skycutters. Realistically, if I'm full sending, I know that one of them is going to die to magic missile. So this is just a trade that I have to make, and I'm hoping that it puts me in a really good position. Adam charges in. He's only able to drill out 1 wider, so he gets 3 into combat. This is where I make my first mistake, and this is a cavalcade of errors, basically. All of them, I think, relatively small, but if I hadn't made any one of them, it probably wouldn't have ended the way it would have done, and I feel like I could have pushed for a 12 or 14 win, given how I saw Adam play the list. So, go into combat. I declare a challenge with my noble, and what that means is Adam declines, puts his unit champion in the back, and that's where my dragon's facing. This is a real problem, because it means next turn when I charge, he's going to be able to charge except with the dragon. So I should not have challenged with the noble and just taken 1 more attack. I take a wound. I have static combat res of 3. Adam has static combat res of 1. I think we tie for some reason. Maybe I pass one of them on my regen, but we are 50-50 here. So it's just a tied combat. This is perfect. I'm lined up perfectly. So looking at where Adam's forces are, I don't really want to risk having him able to charge me. So I go into my turn and I declare a charge with the Silver Helms and the Dragon into the Chosen Knights here, and everyone else kind of just maneuvers around. This is where I went wrong. I leave him, as you can see here, basically the perfect spot to bounce through my models. And I do get unlucky with this, but I put myself in a position to be unlucky, and that's something that you need to not do if you're trying to play as well as possible. So looking at what happened, basically, I get the charge in, I absolutely flub my rolls. There were 5 chosen knights at the start of the combat. The only one that I kill, or was there 6 still? Yeah, no, there were 6 still. I kill 2. I kill 1 out of the challenge and 1 in the challenge. And keep in mind that I've got 6 silver helms and a noble on Griffin and a dragon, and between them they only managed to kill 2 models. Now, the dragon is locked in a challenge, which is a mistake that I've set up for myself from last turn, but I think I still get a little bit unlucky there. And what happens is they end up fleeing through 3 units. So they flee from the dragon, which is the highest unit strength, and they're using stubborn, so they're guaranteed to be safe. And they go through the Griffin, through this unit of Silver Helms, which I shouldn't have moved to here, and then through the unit of Illyrian Reavers that's over here as well. This is a problem because despite the, I think, 11 perilous tests that Adam takes, he only fails 2. This happens, it is what it is, but it leaves me in a situation where he's able to charge the last 2 chosen knights into my Illyrian Reavers and Archmage. And this basically leads to just... it all snowballs from there, basically. So if we just very quickly click through, you can see the Warpfire Dragon kills the sisters. That was expected, but the chosen knights tie up the wizard in their unit, and that's just going to be the story for the next few turns until they kill them, and everything else just sort of falls apart for me. And this is the point where if you're playing in teams, you're going to try and save points. But as you can see, so on Adam's turn, he is tying everything up or he's killing it at range. So there's just not really anything I can do. And this is just because I've positioned wrong, let him get his chosen knights out. If instead of doing what I did, I'm here and they get caught and, the dragon's in the back of them, or I didn't challenge and the dragon just eats them all, I'm then able to reform the dragon into a much better facing, potentially pick on something like this unit here, and then we look at, even if it's not like a big victory for me, I can probably force out an 11 or 12, something along those lines. But having this 400 points tied up and all my magic defense gone is absolutely backbreaking. It gives Adam a little pocket that he can drop his Demon Prince into, which is really nice positioning over here. And it just makes it very difficult for me to do anything at all, basically. That takes us to the end of this video. Hopefully you enjoyed that. It's, I think, important to look at the mistakes you make as well as the strong play that you make. And doing a very similar thing over 2 relatively close together games means that it's something that I wanted to shine a light on myself. Obviously something that I need to improve my own gameplay. Basically thinking about the flee patterns. I think it's a surprisingly difficult thing to do if you're not used to thinking about it, something that you want to actively practice more. And when you're setting up your charges and then everything else, just think about what's the highest unit strength, what are things going to be running away from. Remember that your opponent can tweak that by killing models in certain units to force one of them to be higher or lower unit strength, but hopefully that is a bit thought-provoking for you, and maybe something, maybe you've got some advice for me in the comments, because I perhaps need it. Thank you for watching. Thank you for getting to the end of the video. If you've reached this point and you haven't already, I would really appreciate a like, a comment, a subscription if you haven't done those things. It just helps me get seen by more people, boost me up in the algorithm, all of the stuff that the YouTubers do like to say. If you would like to support me in my goal to become a full-time YouTuber, I would absolutely appreciate that. You can become a member below. There are various perks to those, name at the end of the videos, all that good stuff, but it also unlocks some VIP areas in Discord if you become a Longbeard or Ground Knight tier supporter. Those VIP sections are the only parts that are locked away in Discord. You don't have to be a member to join the Discord. I'd recommend that you should. We've got about 450, 500 people on there. It's a great place for discussion, a lot of fun. I do try and chime in as much as possible. And it's also where the Fix My List show lists are put, and also if you are one of the Grail Knight or Longbeard tier supporters, where you participate in choosing which list I play in the monthly Pick My List series.